Hi guys, it's Jen with creativelyhomemade.com. Today I have a fun Christmas card idea for you, and it uses the Merry Cafe stamp set. Now when I saw this stamp set, I immediately thought of my aunt. Every time I go out to lunch with her, she's got to stop at Starbucks and get her coffee fix. So I thought it would be fun to make her a card with these little coffee mugs on it, or coffee cups on it, and send it to her this Christmas. And if you have a coffee lover in your life, this would be a fun Christmas card to send out this year. Super easy to make. It uses the Quilted Christmas Designer Series paper and the coordinating coffee cup framelits dies. So let's get started and I will show you how to make this. So I like to go ahead and get all my paper cut at the same time. It saves time, especially if you're making multiple cards at the same time. So you want to start with very vanilla cardstock for your card base, and this is cut to 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches, and I put this in my scoreboard with the long edge up at the top and scored at 4.25 inches, and that is going to make the card base. So you just need to fold that in half. Then you're going to need a piece of real red or garden green cardstock as your next layer, and you want that cut to 5.25 inches by 4 inches. Then you're going to need a piece of Quilted Christmas Designer Series paper cut to 5 inches by 3.75 inches. Now you can use any of the designs you like. This is really fun paper. I'll just show you some of the designs here real quick. On the front is more of the quilted star designs in different colors, and then on the back are more solid designs. So it's a really fun paper pack to craft with. I just love it. And then the only other piece of cardstock you're going to need is a strip of very vanilla that is cut to 5 inches by 1 inch. And then we're going to need some ribbon. This is Quilted Christmas ribbon. It's 1/4 inch wide, and it is green and red stripe. You're going to need about an 8-inch piece of that. You can eyeball it. So I'm just going to cut that really quickly. And we're going to start assembling some of our card base before we do any stamping. So you want to stick the real red cardstock layer down to your card base. You can also use garden green. The sample I showed you earlier has a garden green cardstock layer instead of the red. Garden green and real red are coordinating colors in the Quilted Christmas Designer Series paper pack, so you can use either. Then you want to stick down your very vanilla strip to your Quilted Christmas Designer Series paper piece. And you want it about an inch from the bottom. Don't have to be exact, just eyeball it. And then we're going to add this ribbon strip. And I found the easiest way to stick that down is with some mini glue dots. I'm going to use one on either end and one in the middle. So just press the ribbon into the mini glue dot. You want to give it a good press so that glue dot sticks to it. And then add the ribbon down the middle of that very vanilla strip. And then turn it over, and you're just going to add a glue dot to either end. And that's going to be so that the ribbon sticks to the back and stays out of the way when you're putting the rest of the card together. Okay, now we have that ribbon on there. We can go ahead and put this Designer Series paper layer down to our card. And for this one, since it has the ribbon on the back, I recommend that you use Fast Fuse. It's a little bit stronger adhesive, and that'll make sure that this piece doesn't pull away from your card. So I'm just going to add a couple of strips of Fast Fuse to the back of that, and maybe some around the ribbon, just to be sure that that doesn't pull up. And then add your designer series paper to your card base. Just like so. And now we're ready to do some stamping. Okay, so pull out your Merry Cafe stamp set. We are going to be using the cup outline, the lid outline, a cup of sentiment, the Christmas, the cheer, and a Happy New Year stamps from this set. You're going to need some scraps of paper. This is the Quilted Christmas Designer Series paper. It's on the opposite side of the stars. And you're going to want a pattern that is real red and garden green. There are several to choose from. These are the ones that I picked. Then you're also going to need a small scrap of real red cardstock for the lid, a small scrap of garden green cardstock, and a scrap of crumb cake cardstock. And you're going to need real red, garden green, and black ink. So I'm going to start by stamping up those coffee cup outlines. Now one quick tip, whoops, just got ink all over my hands. One quick tip about this stamp is that the center is empty, so it tends to distort if you aren't careful when you're putting it down on your block. So I recommend like laying the top and then kind of letting the rest of the stamp fall over, so then it'll stay in the right, so it's not distorted, because it's very easy to like pull out the sides and make your coffee cup look weird. Ask me how I know that. I made a really weird looking coffee cup this morning. Okay, so I'm going to ink that up in black and stamp that outline on my scrap of the Designer Series paper. And you want to do that on both the red and the green piece. So with the green one, I'm making sure that the the Christmas trees are facing upwards, so they're oriented correctly when I do my stamping. So you need those two with the cup outline, and then you're going to need two of the lid outlines. And you're going to stamp that one time on the red scrap and one time on the green scrap. Okay. And now you want to use the A Cup of stamp, and we're going to stamp that right on the lid. You want to try to center it on this top space here. So let's see if I can do that without standing over it. Oh, that turned out pretty good. So it looks like that. And then the green one's just going to be left as is. So then pull out your last two sentiment stamps. Now the Christmas and the cheer stamps are separate, so you can use them separately, but I'm using them together here, so I just put them on one block so I can stamp them up at the same time. So I'm stamping those in red. And just stamp it on the crumb cake cardstock. This is going to be your coffee sleeve. And then stamp the "And a Happy New Year" stamp in green on that same scrap of crumb cake cardstock, but leave a little bit of space because we're going to be doing some die cutting. Okay, so I'm just going to put my ink away and grab my die cut machine, and I will be right back. Okay, I went ahead and pulled out my die cut machine and my coffee cup framelits dies. I have these on a magnetic vent cover. It makes it very handy to store that way. So I just need the coffee cup, the coffee sleeve, and the coffee lid dies for this project. So we're going to be cutting out the stamped images we just made. So I've got the coffee cup here, and I'm just centering the die around that stamped image and adding the top plate and running it through, and that shifted a little bit. So I'm going to go back and fix that. There we go. so there's that die cut, and I already went and cut out the green one to save time. So then I am going to cut out the lid. There we go. And then you will need to cut out both. I've already got one cut out, and then I just cut out the second one. So you're going to need a red and green lid. And then the last thing you need to cut out are the sleeves. And one thing I wanted to mention about this stamped image that you need to cut out, it has a slight curve to it. So make sure you line that up with the curve on the bottom of the coffee sleeve die. And try to center that sentiment the best you can. Run that through. And then I already ran the Christmas cheer die through. So now we have all our die cut pieces, and we'll be ready to assemble our card. Just let me put this away and I will be right back. Okay, so now we have all our coffee cup pieces. We are ready to assemble our card. I've just pulled out some different adhesives. I'm going to use snail adhesive and fast fuse, and also a little bit of Tombow glue. And then you will also need some Stampin' Dimensionals to stick those down to the card. So let's put our coffee cups together. Now, the coffee cups alternate in color. You use a green lid, a red cup, and a green sentiment. And then the other one uses a red lid, a green cup, and a red sentiment. So I used Tombow since this on the lid, since this is such a small space to glue. So I'm just adding a thin ribbon of glue right along the top of the coffee cup. And then add the lid to the very top. And then repeat the process for the other one. Okay. And then you can just use snail adhesive to stick the coffee labels or the sleeves to the coffee cup. And that goes in the middle just like that. So here's our assembled little coffee cup, super cute. And I'm just going to add the sleeve to the second one. Oops. Okay. There we go. So there are both our coffee cups. And we're done with the Tombow. That's all you needed it for. So pull out the card. And we're going to start with the Christmas cheer cup, adding a bit of an angle over on the left side. And since there's ribbon down here that adds a little bit of dimension to that, I'm going to use fast fuse to make sure that this doesn't come off the card. If you want it popped up, you could also use Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of both coffee cups. Okay, so there we go. That one is down, and then you want Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of this one because it's going to overlap the first card by a little bit. So I just add one. I'm going to add 4 to the coffee cup and putting one in each corner. And get those little backings off. If you have trouble getting the backings off, as I sometimes do, a paper piercing tool makes that a lot easier. In fact, I think that's pretty much the only thing I use my paper piercing tool is getting adhesive backs off of those Stampin' Dimensionals. So after you have the Stampin' Dimensionals are on the back, just put it at a little bit of an angle to the other one and stick it to your card, just like that. Now the only other thing we need to do is add a small little bow. So I am going to make a little bow here really quick and stick it down there in the corner. You don't need a very big one, just a tiny bow will do. And then, oops, there's my scissors right in front of my nose. Just trim the ends off here, maybe to about 1 inch. And then use a mini glue dot on the back to stick it down to your card. So here's our finished card. I just love how this turned out, and I hope my aunt really enjoys it. And I wanted to show you also that you can use different designer series paper for this if you like. I also made this one up. Let me zoom back here just a second. I made this using the Be Merry designer series paper, so that's also very cute. So you can use whatever Christmas paper you have on hand. And then this one I also went with a vertical orientation instead of this one that was horizontal. So be sure to leave me a comment below and let me know which one you prefer. Do you like it with the quilted Christmas paper, or do you like it with the Be Merry designer series paper? So I hope this video has inspired you to do some Christmas crafting and maybe make handmade cards this year. If you would like any of the supplies that I use to make these cards, I have links down in the description box below to where you can purchase those. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. That gives me feedback and lets me know what type of crafts tutorials that you'd like to see from me. And if you want to see more of my Christmas crafts, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I have a ton planned for November and December this year. Thank you guys so much for watching. Happy crafting!